Hey guys, I just want to do a quick video very quickly, trying to keep this under 10 minutes, about sanding sponges and sanding materials in general. I know Paul at ISM has just put out a video about his products and promoting them, and also how to use sanders. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's very, very good, very informative, and there's a few bits and pieces on it that you may not have heard of or done yourself, especially if you're a beginner. Paul is partner with Lee and owns UMP, Ultimate Modelling Products. So people might just say, oh, you're being biased and you're saying everyone else's products is crap, and he's not saying that at all. He's not saying anyone's products is crap. I want to give you a totally unbiased view. I don't have any UMP products. I have never bought a single UMP product in my life. I must be honest, I have never found the need to. I want to get some of their primers, and I want to show you guys how good they are, but they haven't got any apparently, so I need to wait until they've got some in and order them. Unless, of course, Paul, you want to send me some to show on my channel, which I'll happily do. There we go. So, sanding sponges. Here's a selection of used ones. Okay, and I'm going to go through these in a second. These are the new ones I've got. I keep a drawer, and these are all unused. Okay, so this is a set you get from Models for Sale. Okay, these wide ones here, these white ones, that's how they look when they're new. That's how they look after you've used them. Okay, so they're great, they're lovely, especially when they're brand new. They're dead flat and they're really good for large fuselage halves and stuff like that. I always find if you rub apart, get a piece of emery on the ground and rub it, sometimes the edges can come up and you can end up with sort of a convex finish rather than flat, so I like to use those. That's one manufacturer there. Here I've got some 2000 grit wet and dry. This is Merca, and they are the Rolls-Royce, as far as I'm concerned, of wet and dry. Some of these here, this is Korean, it'll probably be right. Some of the Chinese ones are very, very hard. Like, for example, this one here, very, very brittle, and doesn't sort of fold and bend. It just sort of creases up. It's not very good. So yeah, avoid the cheap Chinese ones if you can, or the cheaper Chinese ones. Now you'll see most of my stuff here is Flory. Now, one I would stay clear of is these Revlon type things here. I've got this, and you can see I don't use it, but I can tell you they're not very robust. They do fall apart. These here, I can't remember who made these. I think it was the Scale Model Aircraft magazine company did these, and there's a blue one there as well. These are amazing, really, really good quality. The only downside to them, as with all sponges, if you scag them on something, they will rip. But they do last a long, long time, and they work really, really well. So they're really, really good. Here's another one. This is a nail brush with a nail file, which is not good. That's a packet of pipe cleaners. I don't know why they're in there. These are brilliant. You get these from your supermarket. They're very, very thin. Here's one here. It's almost like a thin plywood, and you can see you can cut it into shape to get into nooks and crannies. But what's nice about these is they're flat and they're hard. So if you're sanding something that's round, you want something soft so you don't put a flat on it. But if you want to sand something flat, like the edge of a toolbox, say, that's got a mould seam on it, these are great for doing that. So there's new ones there, and there's an ordinary Tesco nail file. There's some more of those thin ones. You can see whenever I see these in the supermarket, I pick them up, these thin ones, because they're great. Now, I tend to mainly have Flory sanding sticks, and you can see there's green ones, white ones. These blue ones here are really, really good. Then there's these soft sponges here, so they're pretty coarse on one side and very fine on the other. There's some more sponges there. I tend to, when I see fill at a show, I tend to just buy some. I bumped into them at Telford and bought some green ones. That's my go-to sander. That's what I use more than anything else. I've got lots and lots of them. So I want to show you those, and they're all new. These blue ones are very good because they're fairly coarse, and I do like the skinny sticks. They tend to get into wherever you need to get into, obviously, because they're skinny. So let's just get all that out of the way, because I want to show you something. Now, these sponges, as Paul said in his show, he's seen them absolutely dire and looking awful, and this one is probably, I don't know, 2 years old. I've used it for all sorts of stuff. It's tarnished black because I've been using it on my Saturn project. Sorry guys, cough there. But basically, yeah, it gets stained, and I tend to use these wet. Use the blue side for getting down, and then when you really want to get the polish, you use the white side. Use it wet, and it'll squeak to high heaven. You see it's even squeaking on my finger there. I've covered those, the flat ones. Now, these sponges here, these Flory sponges, these are really nice because they're fairly coarse on one side, and very fine on the other. So for doing large cylindrical items like that Saturn body, really good, because you can break down the top of the seam or your sprue glue or whatever and then polish it back with this one before you go in with something like this to really polish it. And again, you've got these little fine blue ones like this. They're really good, and you can see this has seen better days. And when they start to wear out, I just nip the end off and start again. And that's the way they cut. So when the ends look a bit tatty like that, that's just the way it is. That's the way they're made. So that's that. But I want to talk about the downsides. As with any tool, if you abuse them, okay, they're not going to last. Now you can see here it's got these lines in it, and this was mentioned by someone. That's caused by bending. When you bend the sanding stick, what you'll do is you'll obviously, because it's a lamination, when you bend it, one side has to stretch and one side has to shrink. So the side that stretches will either rip, and I'll show you on this one, it's either going to rip like that, okay, like that's ripped, or it's just going to fall apart like that, okay. So I'm destroying the sanding stick just to show you. These are Flory sticks, these do it as well. Everybody's sticks will do it. If you abuse them, they're going to fall apart. If you try and rip this off, you're going to rip it off, you know. They're not made to be ripped off. If you're going to use the end of the sanding stick and sort of on the edge of something and keep banging it into something, it's going to lift up, it's going to delaminate, and if you bend it, it's going to wrinkle, okay. And that goes for any of them. And also with some of these sponges, like this one here, I got this very wet. I used it, you know, absolutely submerged, soaked in water, so it started to fall apart. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, guys. It's glued together. It's designed to be flexible. It's designed to be used for sanding cylindrical items. All right. And if you just do this with it, and you keep doing this with it, and you just use it for sanding cylindrical items, guess what? It's going to last you a long time. But obviously, they're not designed to be soaked in water, so it's going to come apart. And hey, they cost next to nothing anyway. So I mean, this one, that one's probably 2 years old. This one I've probably been using for a good 6-8 months. And if you look at my channel, you'll know how many videos I do and how much they get used. And again with these, if you abuse them, if you fold them, they're going to crease up. Okay, so this one's done it, that one's done it. You know, these I use for hogging material, and they're gonna get folded because you're using them. It's going to happen. These don't do that because they're very rigid, okay, and they're very thin. So obviously the thinner they are, when you bend them, the less stretching and contraction is going on. When they're thicker like this, you can see you've got the contraction on the inside and the outside is stretching. All right, so there is an unbiased view for you of sanding sticks and their pros and cons. I mean, this one here is probably been used for 3-4 months, and that was absolutely fine. But this one is designed to bend, so it's going to wrinkle and stretch, wrinkle, stretch. It's, you know, that's what it does, and that's another Flory one. So whether you buy Flory, UMP, whoever, you're going to have your favourites. I used Flory because they were the first sanding sticks I ever bought, because I was fed up with supermarket ones falling apart. And now, because I like them, I bought hundreds of them, as you can see in my box, and they're probably going to last me the rest of my life. So, you know, that's what I've got, that's where I am, and that's what they are all about. If you abuse them, as with anything, they're going to fall apart. Okay? If you go and buy a 1/2-inch snap-on spanner and hit it with a sledgehammer, it's going to break. All right? So, that's just my unbiased view for you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.